So you're saying black folks created that name white supremacy?
That's correct, from Africa, because we are just amazed by the things they've done. Well, we describe them always by inventions, that's all. They can command water from far away through tubes into their bedrooms. We can even fetch a bucket of water from the next lake, you will be drowned. They can put electricity. We never had one in Africa. They have airplanes fly over us. It's amazing. Everything they've done is the reason my people say these people are superior, not because of slavery. They came to colonize us and they brought things we have never seen before. They gave a king a mirror and he was dancing and sold his people away. They brought guns we have never seen, boom, and killed somebody right away. You know what they used to do in the Congo?
Right.
They put dynamite in the rocks and then they hide the switch. And then when they point their finger, it go boom. And the Congolese till today, they call the white man kiboom, the sound of the dynamite. And then they go down and they go like this. If they're not superior, why do you see every picture when the white men arrive in Africa, we bow into them? We have never seen a gun kill a human being. We have never seen a mirror. We have never seen a radio tune in and somebody is speaking from England, the Queen's voice. So for us, all these things, these people must be really superior and close to God. They used to have a joke in Ghana that when God said, let's pray, the white man opened his eyes. The black people were covering his eyes. So the white man saw how God created the world. That's why they are so good at what they do. And I'm telling you, these are folklores from which we grew up. If anyone told you that white people came to Africa to tell us they're superior, it's a lie. They never said that.
This is Walker Archives, and I'm very happy that you guys are actually here and you're listening to Frank Zanu, who is actually trying to give you a perception. I don't know if it is a myth or a truth that the white supremacy was actually built by the black people, and that I'm trying to give you this by saying that what if I told you that the system we call white supremacy wasn't originally built by the white people, but by the black people themselves? That's the controversial position that Frank Zanu, and today we are going to unpack this, whether it is going to be a myth or a truth, or it is just a provocative way of forcing us to think deeper about the power, history, and even the psychological system that has always affected black people. Now, before I even dive into this perspective, because the commentary are actually way larger than what Frank is trying to give, what I'm going to give you is that, do you think black people also have one community? Do you think that we as black people, we are united? Because he's trying to give more and more examples on why he believed that white supremacy was actually built by the black people. So guys, let's dive into the videos. I'll see you at the end of the videos. My name is Walker Archives. Don't forget that.
Can you believe that? The 50 states in this country, not a single state in America has a black community. If you really define what a community is, there are black neighborhoods.
Neighborhoods, yeah.
But we don't have a black community.
So define the black community for our audience.
Well, take an example of Chinatown.
Okay.
Chinese don't come here saying, oh, I'm rich, then I'm going to live in Greenwich.
Right.
There's a reason they all want to live in Chinatown. Because the kids grow up and they just inherit the culture, the traditions, the customs, because they see another Chinese, a Chinese family, a teacher, a lawyer, an engineer, and they just see it. So for children, the eye teaches them more than the ears. What they see is what they copy.
Exactly.
Now, even in Bridgeport, as small as it is, in Bridgeport is divided into what? 4 parts. Go to Park Avenue, and as soon as you begin to ascend the hill towards Sacred Heart,
yeah.
that is the Jewish community. They have the synagogues there. They have the Jewish community center. They have the Jewish children's home and everything. Next to it is the Greek center. So the Greeks, they bring their kids, they speak in their language. They have the Greek festival every year.
Yeah.
The street is blocked. That's a community. Chinatown is a community. They write everything in Chinese. Flatbush is a Korean town in New York. The churches, the daycare, the primary schools, their businesses, law firms, real estate, all concentrated in one place.
Yeah.
I was in LA in June for a conference, and I decided to go to Little Tokyo, and I was blown away. They took a section of LA,
Right.
and you see Japanese history on walls, on the streets. You know, you think you are in Tokyo.
Yeah.
So kids grow in that place, and they don't have to look far, but they are still in America. America is not a melting pot. It's a salad bowl. I need to know the lettuce, the carrot, the tomatoes, the onion. They are still there, you can tell. But they're all part of it. So when I say blacks don't have a community, that's what I mean.
Right.
I've traveled the world as a black man, and I have never seen a black country where the people who live in it are foreigners that were brought there by blacks as slaves. Not one single country. Yet the black race has more countries on earth than any other country. 54 are on the continent. 13 black countries in the Caribbean. So 68 black countries. There's not a single black country where slaves were bought from outside by black people. I've traveled the world. Not a single country in the world colonized by a black country. There's nowhere you go on Mother Earth where the language they are speaking was imposed on them by force by a black country. I've traveled the world and I've never seen a religion that is imposed upon anybody anywhere in this world by a black country. There are 68 black countries in the world, the largest continent by number of countries. Not a single one of them has a nuclear weapon of mass destruction. Black countries across the world, none of them is responsible for what we call the military complex, where we are manufacturing dirty bombs and sending things into the water to pollute people. I've traveled the world and I'm yet to see one product that was forced to be sold in another country by a black country. So it means the black race is the only race on earth that represent what the United Nations have been looking for the last 100 years, peace. African Americans in this country are the only groups. They have no culture. It depends on who you meet, where you meet them.
But currently there's not an African American culture?
No.
Yes, there is.
What is it? Name 2 value systems in the African American culture.
Value system?
Yes. Name 2 taboos in the African American culture system. Name 2 traditions, by the way, in the African American culture system. There is no value for freedom if you don't understand what it is. The concept of free. You have to have a foundation on which it would balance when you ask for it. Civil right, they give it to you. You have no culture. Nancy, you've been here, born here. Why would you be surprised if I say African Americans don't have a culture? What, twerking? So anything
but I feel like African American culture has definitely
you say
mainstream.
You say the word, the African American culture. What is it? Okay, fine.
Like hip hop.
Oh,
not
Jesus
hip hop.
Christ.
I mean, I don't want to.
Look,
yes, I feel like
you haven't thought about it. It's fine. Don't make things up.
I'm not making it up.
Okay,
I feel like
then educate me. You feel. You should know. You were born and raised here.
Yes, but I have a Haitian.
Are you African American?
I'm Haitian American.
That's correct. Do you see why you were being specific with that? Because anybody who encounters you already knows you before. If they know you are Haitian, at least 2 things comes to their mind.
What is that?
If they've been to Haiti, they can look at work ethics and they say, yes, Haitians, I know them. Service industry, they know where they do well. Food, they can say yes. And even language, Creole.
Right.
And they can say, oh, I love Haitians. Because they saw the culture in abstract before they encountered you. So people go over the bridge of your culture, your tradition, your customs, and that helps them to know how to
address it.
Exactly. I'm saying to you, any people who ask for these things, which are abstract, freedom, for example, independence, for example, and civil right, for example, voting right, for example, you must have a foundation on which these things are going to balance. Because the people there have to uniformly agree with consensus. This is our way of life. The do's and the don'ts involved in our culture. Even if you have to create an artificial culture.
Is that why the civil rights movement is considered dead?
It's dead and useless. They got it, but they could not balance it on any foundation.
Now, I want to say that this is just understanding Zanu's the claim. Now, when you look at Zanu's idea is not literally in the sense of black people inventing racial hierarchies from scratch. Instead, he frames it as a black complicity in sustaining the system. The argument suggests that through colonial slavery and later the new colonial structures, it wasn't just Europeans enforcing a dominancy. Now, many Africans elites, you have to know that many African elites, including the chiefs and even the leaders and even the ordinary citizens, were co-opted into supporting the white supremacy. Now, according to that Zanus, I want to give you that he argues that African rulers sold captives to Europeans for guns and goods laid the foundation. Now, that is African holders. Now, again, when you look at it at the post-independence leaders often adopted colonial methods of governance, preserving a Eurocentric system rather than dismantling them. Now, you know, even in the school system, the judicial system, the government system, all of it is being governed by, according to the Eurocentric. We are claiming, we are copying the white supremacy. Now, you know, even today, through cultural imitation, economic dependency, and internalized inferiority, like you find that many black communities unknowingly reinforce the very hierarchy that subjected them. Like, for example, you look how we worship, how Africans worship. Today, almost everybody is going to church. We are copying the European design. Apart from the African church, we also have the mosque. We have Muslims who do the same. These are just a way of copying the European centric. Now, you look at me. I'm actually wearing the African. You may think that these are African clothes. No, these are actually clothes which were imported in European countries, and that this is just one of the methods that we are using. Even the school system, the judicial system, we tend to copy the white supremacy. Now, this is the reason why you'll find that ZANU is trying to give you reasons that you guys are actually copying the white supremacy. What do I mean by this is that even when he said that the moment a white person comes to Africa, he arrives in Africa, you'll realize that there's a way Africans are actually reacting when you compare to the black people. Like, Africans tend to see this white person as a superior person, and that the moment you attack him or her, you know that automatically the government will come for him. This is just the same way that you are no longer going to act to the black Americans. Now, this is just according to the African way and what I've experienced with them. The way you treat black Americans, it is totally different the way you treat Europeans. Now, when I want to break it down for you is that, so this means that black people are to blame. Does it mean that these are black people to blame the white supremacy? Not yet exactly, because Zani's perspective is more nuanced. What he's saying is that white supremacy could not have lasted this long without the black people cooperation. Yes, when was the last supremacy invented, and when did Africans got independence? I believe that the moment you guys got independent, you were supposed to free yourself from the chains of the slave masters. But this has never happened. We are actually enforcing them to our day-to-day activities. Now, the system of oppression are never one-sided. You all have to know that. It is when the thrived or the oppressed internalized them. Now, the colonizers also didn't just conquer land. They conquered our minds. They rewriting what power, beauty, and civilization looked like. Now, think about it. If people can be convinced that their own culture is inferior, they will willingly support another culture's dominance. Like, for example, you come to my place. You find me eating, let me say, what type of food do you eat? Let me use, okay, rice. Rice is global, right? You find me eating rice. Then you tell me that rice is actually a disease, actually contains diseases, and that you often get sick. Now, you bring your own, like you want to say that now, don't eat rice, eat, let me say, cabbage. Cabbage is also universe, yes? Let me say you eat maize. Maize is something that is universe. Now, that is just a way the white people are actually coming here by saying that you are worshipping a bad God. This is not God. this is the true God. And then automatically I will abandon my true God, my God, then I start worshiping your God. Now that's the same way these people are actually using to dominate the white call supremacy. Now this idea sparkling outrage because it feels like victim blaming. Now like you find that it is a critics argue that it absorbs with white colonizers and slave traders of responsibilities. It downplays the violence, brutality, and even the global system designed by the Europeans to force white supremacies. It is unfair, it unfairly shifts the narrative onto black communities who were historically disadvantaged and even the oppressed. But ZANU defenders argue that he isn't blaming, he is exposing by highlighting that complicity is saying that we cannot dismantle white supremacy until we first stop reinforcing it to ourselves. Now that's the same thing that I've been explaining to you backward. Now listen here, guys. You also need to have lessons and even the modern relevance so that you can at least understand that according to ZANU's ideas that the white supremacy is being created by the black people, you also need to know there are some lessons and even the modern lessons and even the modern relevance that are here. Now, for example, when you look at the culture reclamation, now black people must revalue their heritage, language, and knowledge system. You come to Africa here, you will find that a small kid is being trained to speak in English. A small kid is being forced to talk certain language. Like the only country that has official language, many official language, it is South Africa. You can cooperate with me, including Zosha. Yeah? Now, when you look at cultural reclamation, how we worship, the moment a child is small, it's being introduced into our ways of worship by small churches and small attendants and how you should worship God, white God. Okay? Apart from that, the language is being taught in school. Here in Africa, you realize that talking into your local language is actually illegal, and that the moment you talk in your local language, it is illegal, and that it is punishable by law. You will be punished. Now, when you look at even the economic independence, as long as African economy rely on Western institutions and even the hierarchy remains intact, as long as you remain with the same institutions that were abandoned by the colonizers or who they left to the Africans during the independence, then this white supremacy will automatically be there. When you look at unity over division, we need to also like tribalism, colorism, classism are tools that keep black people divided, making white supremacy stronger. You also have to know that. There's also about the mental liberation. True freedom starts in its mind. If people start idolizing Eurocentric standards and start affirming themselves, the system loses its grip. For example, the mental liberation. Like the moment you realize that I talk a broken English, that is a mental liberation. You need to know that this is not our first language. Okay? This is not our first language. The moment you find me not wearing decently, this is not how we used to dress as Africans. Okay, I don't mean that you need to dress badly. No. The moment you have mental liberation, then I think that these are the relevance that you need to have. Now, my conclusion is that ZANU's claim that black people created white supremacy is provocative. Okay? Maybe offensive, let me say that way. But perhaps that's also the point that is meant, because I've already explained to you what it actually means. Now, it forces us to also listen, to look inward. Like, the white supremacy is not just an external cage, it is also an internal one. Like, we also need to solve our own problems. Like, for example, if you want to remove the white supremacy, then you need to stop worshipping the white people. You need to stop copying them. You need to break the language and how they act. Stop doing anything that they are doing. That is just the same way of creating or of destroying a supremacy. Now, the real question isn't whether ZANU is right or wrong. You also have to know that. And the real question is, are we willing to confront our role in breaking the chains that still bind us? Are you willing That is the question. Are you willing? I'll leave you here, guys, with the context. I hope you'll understand this, that these are just videos and it is only for educational purposes. But what I mean is that the black people actually created white supremacy.